Welcome back to the Stories We Carry. I'm your host, Gabby, with one B and one Y, and today I'm so excited because I'm going to have a licensed clinical social worker here with us today. We are going to be talking about how self-talk influences our emotions, behaviors, and mental well-being. And you guys know that this is just something that I am so passionate about. I wouldn't say recently, but for a very long time. But now that I had the courage to go ahead and step out and find other people that can either share their story or just connect with us and help us understand ourselves more, I just can't wait to learn from her. We recently reconnected. We actually went to school together, probably our whole lives up to college. But her name is Bianca. I am not going to take too much of her spotlight. I just wanted to, yeah, get you guys excited for this next episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys, I have Bianca here with me. She is the licensed clinical social worker I was telling you guys about. She is licensed in the state of Florida, and her practice is called Everbloom Counseling LLC. Very professional, very demure. So, Bianca, if you want to say hi.
Hi, guys.
So, just to get comfortable with the show, I've already told everybody in this previous clip that you and I actually went to school together since what, kindergarten all the way to high school? Like we were literally
Yeah.
even YCCS, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. We've known
Always
each other
been
since
around each other. And it's not that
yeah.
like, we've always like, hi, hey, like very cool, very cute. But like we reconnected recently. I said that as well. And like we're in like two great phases of our lives right now. We're almost in our 30s. Like, who are we? We're adulting.
It is a new experience, I think, for both of us, but it's a good thing. So,
Absolutely. Like, can
like,
you believe, like, okay, you are a licensed clinical social worker, and we'll get more into how you even got into that field.
oh
But
yeah,
we have such big responsibilities. And like, I think about how I am, like, outside of work, and like, ain't no way I'm in charge of all of these big things. Like, I'm a goofy person. Like, I don't know if you feel that way sometimes because the things that you
one
like
big
talk
one.
about are big.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you say that because I feel the same way. Like, I'm a very humorous person. Sometimes a little like dark humor
Yeah.
comes out for a lot of things, but the more that I think about it, I'm like, wow, like I'm responsible for a lot of people's lives. And you too. Like we're both in the field of just having to be responsible for people's mental well-being, physical
Yeah.
well-being, their safety. So it's like, damn, like,
Oh my
wow,
God.
I'm doing that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, okay, we graduate high school. Tell me how you went from there and how you made it where you are right now.
Yeah. So I'm like, how should I keep this short? But
Well, I mean, like the
after
timeline for the way
yeah,
that you remember it.
yeah. So after high school, well, in high school, I did college credits senior year. So that kind of helped me a little bit in like
Mhm.
timeline wise. So right after high school, I only did a year at Dade. Shout out to North Campus.
Period.
And right after that, I did my bachelor's. So I did bachelor's in social work for 2 years. And then I took, if I'm not mistaken, I took a year off. I took a year off to really like
Good.
get the real life world experience of being a social worker with my bachelor's degree because it's completely different.
Mm.
Um, and then after I did my master's for like a year and a semester,
Mhm.
and yeah, I graduated 2019 with my master's and then just been working since then. And now I'm here like with my private practice, which I never saw that coming.
That's
Like,
crazy. That's amazing.
because in grad school, I told myself, I'm like, I don't think I like the therapy, like the therapeutic side of social work. I'd rather
Can you
just focus.
explain that a little bit more? Because you told me briefly before when we talked that like social work, it doesn't have to be just therapy. What are the other avenues somebody can
Yeah.
take if they went into it?
Yeah. So I think social work is just like the umbrella of like advocacy, helping people, research. There's a lot to it. So
Mhm.
outside of the therapy part, you can
Mhm.
totally like school social worker. You can be part of the VA. You can work in
Mhm.
hospital. You can work in like community settings, like helping people in the local community.
Mhm.
Um, Social workers do advocacy, so they'll do what we call like macro social work.
Mhm.
And that's like government related policy making changes, which I've never been a fan of. So
That
um, there's definitely like a lot of avenues you can take.
yeah.
But I was in my master's, I was like, I'm gonna do the medical stuff. I've always liked medical field
Mhm.
related stuff. So I went into hospital social work right after grad school. I did it for 2 years. I
Mhm.
got out, and then I
Mm.
did hospital it for about 3 years, which I fell in love with. I love end of life, helping people just like,
That's
you know,
major.
process that feeling of like, I'm gonna lose someone. I'm gonna lose my loved one and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to feel. So I helped them with that. I've seen obviously like the other side of it, like seeing the person dead and like helping the families through that. So
Wow. So
enjoy
is
that.
that where your spark like essentially kicked off? Because you said which was the part that you didn't like? Was it the hospital?
The hospital just burnt me out, like the
You were burnt
political
out.
things. Yeah, I was definitely burnt out, which I know a lot of people in healthcare can relate to that because the
Mhm.
system in hospitals are so like, I don't even know what word to put in it, like put for it, but it's stressful.
It's more so like a gradual or like come together feeling because that is something like amongst all of us when we deal with such high intense situations at all times that we can all agree that we're just like here existing and we know the pain
Yeah,
and the suffering that comes with it.
yeah,
And being burnt out, let me tell you something you said burnout. I've been there and it's a lot to even climb yourself like out of it.
yeah. Yeah. I actually had a client that I was talking about that with her yesterday, just like burnout. And I shared my experience with her because I want her to realize, like, even as a therapist, like we feel that. Like we feel burnout in some point of our life. Doesn't have to be work related, but just life overall, like creates burnout. And it's like finding ways to, how you said, like climb yourself out of that. So
Absolutely. And so you said you found a passion in the end of life. That is so
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I
And
don't
why
know. I
is
think
that, you think?
it's also because I don't know, maybe I'm just like a realist in the sense of
Mhm.
like is inevitable, like it's gonna come to us no matter what. And there's a lot of stigma around it, especially in the Hispanic culture as we know it. Like
Oh
if
my
you
god.
death, you're like asking for it to come faster, or like morphine. Morphine means like you're gonna kill someone. And my job, I guess, was really to show people like the other part of that, like the flip side of that. And it's like, no, like morphine is really just there's a lot of like benefits to morphine.
I know a lot of people, and I for a period myself in childhood, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't wanna die." And yes, I think I'm coming into terms with it now because, my coworkers and we always joke around like, "Well, this is my way to go," like, type of thing. But a lot of people struggle with it. And so it's so nice to hear and see that you're like, "Absolutely, I've come to terms with it, and I wanna help other people too."
Yeah. I know some girl in my or a coworker at that time,
Yeah.
she's 31 at the time and she had her like advanced directive. She already know how she wants to be like either cremated or buried. It was like a whole
Man,
like
so she's out here in her 30s already ready to
yeah.
go.
I haven't gone that far. That's not yet. But I think my reason or like the passion kicked in was because of the therapeutic part of it of like, okay, let's sit down and like let's talk about the ugly word, death, right? Like so what is it about the word death like that fears like that you're fearful of? Like is it because like you're never gonna like be on earth again? Like what is it? So
What
like
is
help
it then?
understand that and then associating their feelings relating to like obviously losing someone.
Okay,
And
so you help people with grief, right?
yeah,
What are the other avenues that you go ahead and help people in your practice?
yeah. I deal a lot with like people with generalized anxiety disorders,
Mhm.
depression. Some personality disorders may come in and out, but that's not my
Expert
forte now.
support.
But
Mhm.
mostly like right now I deal a lot of like stress management, life
Mhm.
transitions, anger management, kind of just like
Anger manage I laugh at that because baby,
yeah.
there's a lot of anger I can manage here and a lot of stress. But now, okay, the main thing, as you know, that we're talking about is the way that we speak to ourselves. We can be our biggest critic. Not only do we care about what other people think, right? And I've worked out of that, but but so many of us care so much about that, but then we don't even pay attention to the way that we talk to ourselves, you
Yeah.
know? So if you can go into our inner voice and, you know, practically everything that has to do with it, because I mean, you're the expert here. I want to know. I want to learn.
So it's interesting enough that you said that, like, to start that off, because as we had talked about this before, I was reflecting of like how I was to myself in high school and how like my inner voice was very negative. Like, or maybe it's probably stems from more than just high school, but of like
Mhm.
how you said, like, we really talk to ourselves and that shapes the way that we see things going forward. So
Yeah.
our inner voice, or I guess like what we would say the self-critic, is
Yeah.
honestly just the way that we talk to ourselves, and
Mm.
the way that we talk to ourselves, stuff that we've experienced in life is going to help us shape the way that we see the world. So it's our actions, our beliefs that we've created for ourselves. Sometimes it's like our subconscious patterns that come from past experiences, and that's really just going to help us navigate life. So,
Oh, the
um,
subconscious part, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am. But that's like the part that we keep like it's hidden, right?
yeah.
Is that it? Okay, yeah.
The consciousness is like you're aware of things, and subconscious is like, I always think of it's like it's hidden in the back of the brain, but it's because it's part of that, like that experiences, beliefs, whatever, that like you're not ready to process yet. So
Ooh.
I always think about it.
So is that something that you go ahead and like, all right, you stuffed it back there. Let's bring it back to the surface. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Sometimes in sessions, like let's say if I can tell like where the clients are like starting to talk negatively of themselves, I'm like, I ask them bluntly, I'm like, where do you think that comes from? And then that kind of
Oh, you
challenges
call
them.
people out.
I,
Wait.
but because it's true. Like, where do you think that like that way of talking to yourself comes from? And then they're starting to think of like, oh, maybe it's coming from this time that like I felt like that too. Or another way I would word it is like, tell me a time where you felt like that you felt really bad about yourself. And then they'll tell me like, oh, the first time that happened was, I don't know, like in middle school when this girl bullied me. And that was like,
That's so sad.
yeah.
Like
Like,
just like in the sense of like, oh my gosh, like this happened to me when I was younger. And we're what? You and I are almost in our 30s, and that's something that we go through like, "Oh my gosh, I was bullied," or This is what I went through." But that's so unique as well because, I mean, you studied it, and now you're experiencing it, and now you're helping them practically open up their brain. Because I mean, you would say that so many of us shut it, put barriers.
I think that also the reason why we shut our brains to it also just comes with like, I call them like environmental factors. So like
Okay.
thing like society, obviously now like there's so much stigma to everything. So like you grow up learning the stigma and you're just like, oh no, I can't think of that. That needs to just go in the back of my brain. Like that doesn't mean anything. But in reality, it means something. It's
Yeah.
clearly means something to you if you're having to put it behind your like in the back of the mind.
Do
So
you have like any time where you can think of that essentially people were hesitant to open up with you and like what you have to do to like create that comfort
yeah.
between the two? What is it that you do to make people
Yeah.
comfortable? You
So
would say.
interesting enough, I'm actually thinking of like the client in mind, and with her, like without saying too much, but
Yeah.
in the way that I like approach that, like whenever clients are a little hesitant, I ask them like honestly, I'm like, so what is it about your emotions that you're not ready to talk about? Like, what is it that you're uncomfortable with? Is it the fact that like you don't want to feel the pain, like you don't want to feel the hurt? Like, are you ashamed of feeling that way? So I call again, like I just call it out for what it is in a
I
very
love
like
that.
non way. So
I love
in
that.
therapy in general, like you really have to create this environment of a safe space. And I tell them like from the get-go, I'm like, look, this room that we're in virtually is
Hmm.
really just like this is your safe space to talk about whatever you want. Obviously, there's limits to those things of like, of course, if you want to hurt yourself, if you're wanting to hurt someone else, you know,
Hmm.
like a vulnerable adult, stuff like that, it gets a little tricky. And I tell them, but I'm like, look, like, you know, we may have to involve, you know, other people. And that's where
Taking
like
that
even,
step.
yeah. So once I create that and I show them like I'm literally here just to listen to you and like help you understand yourself, that's when I notice like I start to notice like, yes, like I'm ready to take that step to like unpack it. And clients are like, I'm here to do it. I'm like, because I'm gonna if I see that there may be some moments where you're not, I might ask you like why? Like what's holding you back?
Yeah. And so you have those
Yeah.
virtual sessions with them as well. And like you're right, this is virtual. This is a safe space. It's the same thing when you meet with them. And fun
Yeah.
fact, I recently just had my virtual one with my
Mm.
therapist because I was telling her about like the trauma of the house and like always staying in my room. And she was like, I'm going to challenge
Yeah.
you. We're going to do one virtually. And I was like, no, I wanna go to the office. She's like but she's, challenging me just like you say that you challenge your clients, and so that's so nice the way that your guys' approach I hear the way that your approach is, and it sounds a lot like hers, and I think that's why I love it so much, and I really hope that with every client that you have, that they're just as comfortable as I am with mine, because it really is a
Yeah.
game changer. Like, therapy is a game changer. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so. Like, even for me who goes to therapy, I think that's like the reason why I chose a therapist that I've been with now for almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years now.
That's
It's
awesome.
because it creates like an environment where I don't feel judged. Like, I can
Mhm.
be my most authentic self with her in the room and just like feel what I feel in that moment, cry if I
Yeah.
need to, be if I needed to. So I feel like that's the like key to having that relationship with a therapist. Like, once they're able to, like, be themselves, I think that's when they're able to really, like, unpack, like, a lot of what we're talking about, the subconscious patterns that
Yeah.
they may be and,
So
like, connect
now
the dots.
for somebody who does, we have the positive self-talk and the
Yeah,
negative self-talk. Do you find it or think it's difficult to get them to the positive? Because that's a lot of work that you have
yeah,
to put in yourself to do that.
yeah, yeah, it really is because a lot of times, like, when you're living in or you're training your brain essentially to think negatively for a very long time.
Oh,
So to rewire the brain, sorry, I feel like
yeah.
that word sometimes gets, like, tongue-tied for me, but rewiring your brain takes time, and it's like teaching them little by little how to do that, but it takes
Mhm.
work. It's the work for them to do it outside the sessions and not rely on the therapist to be like, "Oh, if you say this to yourself, this is gonna change." It's like, no, like, you have to implement those changes as you go.
So,
Um,
how can we like go ahead and recognize those, like catch that negative thought that we have or the way that we speak to each other. A good example is what I used to do a lot. I used to be like, damn, girl, you look, mm." I could, like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was looking rough. Instead of going now, like when that happens to me, I'll be like, okay, you look rough, but you also have A, B, C, D, F, G going on. Let's try to put ourselves a little bit together and
yeah.
make it a better day. But I mean, that's not nice. That's not a nice thing to say to myself. I wouldn't say it to someone else. Why would I say it to myself? Type of thing.
Yeah. So, like, are you asking, like, how you challenge it? Like, how you
Yeah, how do you
challenge it?
challenge that? Like, when you go ahead, like, what would you say, first of all, so we have the negative thought patterns, right? What does that encompass by, and how do we challenge that?
Okay. So, I kinda wanna, like, backtrack a little bit just of, like, so that maybe the audience can have a better understanding of, like, what the negative self-talk may look like.
Okay.
Because maybe to them, there it may look different, but I wanted
Mhm.
to capture something. So, like,
Absolutely.
when we think of our negative talk, we're thinking of just the bad of ourselves, of like, we're very hard on ourselves. Like you said, like you look in the mirror and you're just like, damn, I look rough. Or like, I'm not good enough, or I'm a fucking failure. Like this sucks. And what happens over time, like as you're doing that to yourself, you're lowering your confidence. It's not helping you like reach your own potential.
Mhm.
And you start to believe those thoughts. So it's making you believe like I'm not good enough or I'm gonna before anything even happens. So
Yeah.
a lot of times that comes from, like I mentioned earlier, like it's really coming from a place of like early experiences. So sometimes the way our parents talk to us, our teachers talk to us, our peers really just shapes that negative self-talk. So
Mhm.
I don't know, example that I can think of is like parent talking down to their kids. Like if they didn't do good in a specific test and they're gonna hold them for that. Now over time, the child is gonna grow up thinking like any little mistake I make means that I fail, that
Mm.
I'm a so
Gotta work on that.
yeah. So like another one that I think about a lot is like social media. Like, oh, I think before I used to care so much about social media and like, oh my God, I need to post this amount of day. I need to post this specific thing. And it's like, no, like for what? So I think social media is a good example of how negative it could be because Instagram is so influential and people like, there's a lot of people that are like big believers are like, oh my God, this person said this must mean it's true. So then that's going to, and sometimes our image, and that's
Yeah.
going to create like a spiral of negative self-image, your confidence gets shot down. So
Yeah.
that is,
When you talk about social media, which I love that you even brought that to the surface, I have a lot of young people that I work with. That's what they grew up with. That's what they know. Like the Snapchat is their Facebook. Like, excuse me, our
yeah,
Facebook era. Like you're
I feel like that's our MySpace era.
oh my gosh, yes, MySpace. MySpace and then Facebook came along. Snapchat, the way they use it, I'm like in amazed of what it is, but also Instagram, like you were saying, and TikTok. The amount of time that goes into a video is absolutely insane. If people actually want to try it, absolutely, I recommend that you guys try it. But let me tell you something, to come up with feed every single day, there's no way. And have a regular life, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah,
And you're right about us going ahead and seeing that and be like, wow, these people really have it together. There's no way. That's a
yeah,
lie.
and that's why like when I see those like kind of like storytelling videos or like people trying to be motivational, I take it for what it is. I see it, I'm like, okay, I see the message they're trying to relay. And then like how you said, like I started to pick at it. Maybe this is a therapist in me, and I'm like, I wonder if this is their truest self. Like, are they just doing this to like prove something for themselves? Is it them just to like, obviously get the followers and whatnot?
Oh my
And
gosh, did you see when TikTok was like getting ready to get banned and all that, that they
yeah,
came out with that oh, I'm going to tell you the truth. All the stuff that the people were opening up to, they had so many people bamboozled.
yeah. And I saw it's funny enough that you said that because I know people like in my network that
Mm.
like got really affected by TikTok, and I just saw how much they changed and like how they really got affected by that. And I was just like,
Yeah.
well, the power of social media that it has on people, that is crazy. Like for people to literally be like, oh my God, like I'm not gonna be the same person without TikTok. And it's like,
Yeah.
but TikTok so like that was I guess like the outside therapist part of it. And I was like, wow. And maybe the humor part of it is like really got sucked into that, like
Yes, because
into this
COVID,
need for social media.
COVID, I mean, that's when it skyrocketed for everybody. And
Yeah.
then now we're trying to find a balance between what real life is and what it isn't. And so much of it, I think that's why pretty much like connecting with you and connecting with other people, like this is reality. We have
Yeah.
bad days. We talk bad to ourselves because we are trying to compare ourselves to people up here. And really, they're literally at the same
Yeah.
level as us. They're just not going to show the ugly. And so that's one thing that I'm like, it's so nice and
People don't
refreshing to see.
Yeah. And it's funny that you said that too, because I think that's why I connected with you again. Like just seeing how like raw you were and like how real you were in your in your content. I was like, oh, like this is the Gabby I like. Like this is the
Yeah.
Gabby I would love to stick with and meet again, essentially.
Yeah,
So I think
so
that's
many
like,
of us do, and that was I was so nervous. But even then, like, I'm sure you were nervous when you opened up your own practice, like, "Okay, I'm going out there, I'm stepping out and trying." Tell me a little bit more about that. You did it, and you built your social media, you're building it, your clientele's building up. Like, I know that one day you're gonna be like, "No, I'm not accepting new patients."
I would love that one day. But I definitely think I even now, as I'm looking back, I at the beginning of it, mind you, I opened my practice in October.
Yeah.
So been now a couple months and like I look back and I'm like, I think I was also very hard on myself. Like I had a lot of negative thought at that time and I was just more of like, I'm not good enough. I don't
Hmm.
think anyone's gonna. like want me as their therapist. I don't have enough experience. Like, that was really hard. And I
Mhm.
think it's because you were so pressured to be so good and like be the therapist that I envisioned to be. And the more like I think like as time goes by, I'm like, I just need to be my authentic self. Like be myself when I'm with my clients I'm and again, like that's where I guess like that realistic part comes in because I want them to realize like I'm human too. Like I understand what they're going through. Maybe I could relate to some of their things. And it's like I want to help them climb up that ladder and be like, okay,
So,
like
do
what's
you have a
that
different
like?
point of view now of the therapist you wanna be versus when you first started?
Yeah.
So, what is
Yeah.
it before to now?
So when I started, I was very like, I need to be a very structured therapist, like make sure I know all my tools. Like it's funny because this shelf that I have here has a lot of like different therapy books, and it's like I need to read all of them. I need to know all the interventions so that when my clients come in, they trust me and they know all this. And it's like, now I look at it, like, okay, pause. Like that's not the real you. Like the real you is gonna be vulnerable and be like, maybe I don't know that right now, but let's work together to figure that out.
Absolutely, I love that. I love a
Yeah.
teamwork for what that is.
So
And
I
so
think
now,
my
what do you see yourself as? Like, what you wanna chase?
Yeah. So I think the chase, or I guess like the passion for me now is really just to be real, like be real for my clients and like feel relatable. So they're like, wow, like she gets me. Even though they do say that, I want to hear that a lot more of like, wow, like that made so much sense.
Yeah, like,
And
if
I
you
want
had
like,
instead of, like, your what is it when you congratulate someone, you don't want a congratulations, you want, like, "Yes, she understands me."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, what makes me like, how can I say, like the most happy is when I hear clients like, for example, someone this week told me she was like, because I was off for a week, and she was like, "Oh my God, like the last week when you were here, like I did this and this and this." And I was like,
Seeing their
wow.
growth seeing their growth.
Yeah. And I, instead of me saying like, congratulations, like the word that came out, I was just like, I'm just so proud of you.
Man, my therapist tells me that too, and I love it.
Ooh, and I'm just like, because it's genuine. I'm like, wow, like when we first started together, like I didn't see that coming. Like, but now, like, as my clients get like through these sessions, I'm just like, wow, like they're growing. And that's kind of like why I named my practice what it is, because it's like the evolution of like a flower, like through
Yeah.
time, it
Blooming,
and ever bloom
blooming.
in specific, just like you're blooming in all seasons. So for my clients, like I want them to be like they're just growing and blooming over time. And
I love that. If you haven't already discussed that or made something, do me a favor and do that because something like that, it's so genuine, like hearing the behind of what you created, like it creates
yeah,
that connection for someone to be like, absolutely, I agree with that. I bet
yeah.
like just seeing people grow, I love it. So I just love that for your clients that you're seeing them
Like,
grow.
uh,
Well, because it's like it's true. Tell me it's not true that some people unfortunately will have a bad experience because it's reality and it sucks.
because part of my practice, I also offer like consultation calls and they're free.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I'll tell
nice.
them like just to see if we're a good fit. So a lot of times I ask them, I'm like, have you been to therapy before? And if they told me they have, I'm like, what was the good and what was the bad part about it? And sometimes when I hear the bad, I'm like, what? I can't believe a therapist would do that. And a lot of it, it's like sometimes therapists have their own opinion to like things. And my clients are kind of like, but I didn't ask for that. Like, I just want you to hear me out and not give your own
Oh,
opinion.
yeah.
So I hear that, I'm just like,
It's so
"Oh,
heart-wrenching because it's like
yeah,
we're on the side we're like, yes, like go to therapy type of thing. And then like the people that have had a bad experience are so hesitant to try again. I would
yeah,
understand why, because if I'm taking the step out to be vulnerable and then I'm met with just strife and being judged, I don't want to go back.
yeah." And again, like that comes back to like that self-talk of just like, well, they're never gonna understand me. Also, like, I'm not good enough then.
That's so sad. Oh,
That's gonna
So now
well,
So now that we can recognize the negative thoughts, like now we go into challenging it and reframing our inner voices. What is it that
Yeah.
you go ahead and recommend or just tell your clients what they should start with?
Yeah. So once we like identify of like what specifically the thoughts are,
Mhm,
I tell them like, the best thing to do is like before it gets like out of whack, call it out for what it is.
mhm.
So I call it like the name it to tame it method. So it's
Ooh.
really like notice your thoughts. So it's like what's your like example, what's your go-to negative thought like for yourself?
Hmm. I know that every single time that I'm going into work, I don't know what it is about the environment that we're in. I'm getting ready to be like, well, something is gonna go wrong. And it has to be the industry that we're in of emergency communications. You know that
Yeah.
things are gonna go wrong, but I'm the type that I need to control, 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 control. So even though I did my best or I'm doing my best, I'm like, well, I messed that up. That's my negative
Yeah,
thought right
you're
there. So that name it to tame it. Boom, we're doing that. I'm gonna mess something up. Mm.
yeah. So what you do is like the first thing is like you just have to pay attention. So like notice the thought that's coming in, like whenever you're feeling it, and like asking yourself, like, are you just like doubting yourself? Is it like you're being hard on yourself? Is it because you're assuming like the worst, which we would call catastrophizing? That's
Oh,
also another thing. There's a lot of like people can just Google thinking errors. Audience, I recommend you to do that so that you can
ooh.
start learning what type of thought patterns you're having.
I
So
didn't even know that was a thing. You said it's called thinking errors?
errors. Yeah. So I'm gonna send it to you so you
Nice.
can
I'm gonna do that tonight. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. It's like you'll start to recognize like, for example, labeling. Labeling is a very common one. So like you'll tell yourself like, I'm so dumb. You're like, I'm so stupid. Like, or
I've caught a lot of people recently doing that. And I'm like, talk nicer to yourself. What is wrong with you?
yeah, and that's your negative talk talking to yourself. So
Oh,
another one is catastrophizing, like people always assuming the worst, something like bad is gonna happen. So you
okay.
recognize, "Oh, there's my negative self-talk talking and it's
So
catastrophizing."
before I was on anxiety medicine, all I did was like, well, like this is it. Like and it was like and it sounds silly, but I tell you, Bianca, and I know that you know this because you are, a licensed clinical social worker, that I would literally see the dishes like piling up and I'm like, well, there goes my day. Like this is the absolute worst. That's ridiculous. Now that I'm on this beautiful medicine, like balancing out
You're like,
my, my
you know,
brain, I'm like that can wait type of thing. But okay, that was the mentality I was in. I was definitely doing that. Me, I'm one of those. I'm guilty.
I was gonna say, like, especially with the dishes thing, that's also like a part of procrastination. And there's a whole like that could be a whole
My
separate talk.
gosh. We're gonna have to have you back on the podcast.
I'm sure a lot of our audience members can be like, yeah, procrastinate for a lot of things. And there's like a whole theory to those things. And
Wow. This is
yeah,
such a fascinating thing that
they
you're
connect
in. Good for
a lot.
you.
What was I gonna say now? But at least like with that trigger, like once you notice it, another thing you can ask yourself, like, what's triggering that thought to come up? Like when is it the loudest? So is it like a certain situation at work? Is it maybe like sometimes for people that have social anxiety, it's because they're outside, like in a big crowd, and that's when like it clicks for them of like, oh no, here we go. And then
Okay. Yeah. Social anxiety is very big. Very
mhm.
big in a lot of people. I didn't realize how bad it was. People
Yeah.
prefer being by themselves, but I wonder, like, I've always been one to wonder, like, do you like being by yourself because you don't like surrounding yourself with people genuinely? Or are you just thinking about how many ways something can go wrong? Because that's very real. Like, it could be a mixture of things.
It really, again, like that's where we have to like go back to be like, okay, so like where does that come from? Like where is that fear coming from? Is it like the fear of being judged by someone? Like
Mhm,
the fear of being misunderstood by someone? Is it the fear of like you said, like something bad is gonna happen if I'm in a big crowd?
mhm.
So asking them really like, where was that first time you felt like that? And really just like helping them again, connect the dots.
Tell me, what is it that you said? I love it. I love it, and I already forgot it. I have terrible memory. The tame it. What is it? Catch it,
Name it,
tame it.
name it. Yeah, name
Name
it to
it
tape.
I said catch it to tame it by. Name it to tame.
Yeah,
Okay,
name it
so
to tape.
so
Yeah.
now how do we reframe that? We named it, we are trying to tame it. What do you
Yeah.
think about fake positivity? That is a very big thing nowadays. How do we
Yep.
do that without doing fake positivity?
Yeah. Because fake positivity, I always think of it as like, you just have to like pretend to yourself that you're always this happy person. And in reality, like that's just not everyone. And
Mm-mm.
sometimes I'm like, bro, like I'm just not having like I'm not feeling happy right now. Like I'm not gonna fake telling myself like you're gonna have a great day. Like you're this person. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So like the best way to do it is that you just have to reframe your mindset. And it doesn't mean like you have to like be fake to yourself. It's more about just being real with yourself. So examples that I can think of are like maybe someone made a mistake, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, man, like I'm never gonna get it right because I fucked up.
Mhm.
Instead of like, oh, like you're this failure, you just tell yourself like, maybe right now I am struggling with this, but I'm gonna keep learning and I'm gonna get better over time.
Oh, yeah, that's so much nicer than being like, "You fuck up, you stupid."
And you should tell
Yeah.
yourself because your brain is already trained to think negatively. So it's like automatic it becomes automatic for you. So
That
the
was
fact
me.
that's like the hardest part I would say of really retraining your negative self-talk to a more positive one. And instead of maybe the word positive is gonna sound uncomfortable for a lot of people. So I would
Yeah.
say maybe just more realistic mindset.
I like realistic better because it centers you. It's not like, "I need to be positive," and, like, negative is down here. Real is we're gonna have good and we're gonna have bad, but we're okay. That's
Yeah.
usually how I would say that would be. Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
know that I'm doing something right then. You're confirming for me that what I'm doing is right. And I think
So I
sorry.
actually was gonna ask you too. I was gonna ask you an example too. Like, what do you think is like? I know you said the one about the mirror, but what's another like harsh thought you tell yourself?
One thing that I also struggled with a lot because like you're saying, like this is a work in progress. That and you say that you questioned me on that, you called me out, great. But
That
the other night, well, I've just been having like the past weeks have just been so chaotic, up and down, up and down, up and down. And a lot that I would think is that I'm never going to get out of this feeling. Like I'm always going to be surrounded by darkness. Bad things are going to continue to happen. I would be fixated on it, the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad. And now I've retrained myself that no matter what, like we can't go ahead and pretend that bad isn't gonna happen. It's inevitable, it's life, it's unfortunate, but I'm gonna be okay. And that has been so monumental for me because there was a time, Bianca, when I tell you that I did not think I was gonna be okay. Luckily, I never faced, like, suicidal ideations. I know that some people do, and, there's
yeah.
so many things that, like, support that's out there for them, but for me, the darkness was just always feeling like I just had no energy. I will not be okay. I'm not a good person. I've done a lot of bad. And I no longer think that way. Like I'm human. And we talked about that. Like we're human. And I'm so glad that you're no longer thinking that you have to be the one with the glasses. Like, let me notate that because the realism, I think, is what draws people in. So if that's the angle that you're going in, you guys, when you see her link, just line up and go get that consultation because that's what we need. People need that raw and real. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm just so happy that we're focused on because again, I know that even probably would you say like when you were in school that you were struggling with something like that? And when you were
Oh,
starting off, like,
yeah. And I think too, like, I feel like this is like a vulnerable part of me that Gabby doesn't know yet.
oh, yeah.
I think also too, like in my last relationship, like I, felt very vulnerable and like a lot of pain. So I think I was like, for example, like in a dark place too, where I was
Yeah.
very hard on myself or like very in my head of like, no one's gonna ever want me or like I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
And over time, like I started to learn to be by myself. And I was able through that, like to be able to tell myself, like, even if I felt bad in some way, shape, or form, I was just like, it's there, like the feeling's there. It's
Mhm.
okay. You're safe. You
Mhm.
know, And my therapist taught me this. She used to tell me to remind myself, like, it's a temporary feeling, it will
Mhm.
pass.
Oh,
And
yeah.
something so simple like that, of like, whenever audience members, like whenever you're thinking like bad about yourself, just tell yourself like, this is not the real me.
Yeah.
Like, this is just something that's temporary. Um, and like, I'm gonna be a better version of myself with time.
That's like
Time.
what you said with your practice about, like we bloom and the seasons come and go. Oh, that's such a good fit for you. Good for you for what that is. So
Yeah.
we replace our self-criticism. So, and
Mhm.
then we go and we fill it in with self-compassion. That's more so with self-love, right? Is that right?
Yeah. So self-compassion is really just, I always think of it as just like, you have to be kinder to yourself. And the way that I always tell my clients to do that, the question I ask them is like, what would you say to your friend if they were in the same situation as you?
Oh,
And nine out of which are like, oh no, I would tell like him or her, like, no, like, you're great, like all these things. And I'm like, so why can't you tell yourself that? And a lot of times they're like, they'll do
man,
that are like,
you just calling people out because if you that's what my therapist does. And I just look the other way and I'm just like, you're right. And that's what
but
it is. I don't
like,
know
you
why
ask
we're
yourself, like, why can't you be so kind to yourself? And a lot of times people don't believe in themselves. That it's that confidence, like they don't believe that they are capable of being kinder to themselves, or that they're good enough. So it's really just, it starts there. It's really, I tell people sometimes, which is may sound silly, but I'll tell them to like get a sticky note
Mhm.
and write something positive about themselves that maybe may not feel right, but write it down. And like an example that I could think of, it's like, I am beautiful, or like, I am worthy of love, right? And I'll tell them, like, put it somewhere that you'll see it the most. So whether it's on your nightstand, a mirror, some people put it in their car, or like,
Oh, yeah, when you check, like, the little visor thing, yeah.
yeah, look at me, I can't even think of the name. So like the visor.
Me, I'm like, "What it."
Oh, yeah. So it's like putting little reminders for yourself. And that's like the best way to start being kind to yourself. And my therapist also told me at that time, like, it's gonna feel uncomfortable for a while because your mind is already sitting in this negative headspace of
Mhm,
just like, leave that. There's a lot of disbelief to it. So
mhm.
you really have to start telling your brain, like you see it and you're just like, okay, like, I am good enough. And
We
then
really are our own worst enemies.
we are.
Like,
We are.
the fact that we have to like, we're a work in progress
That's a song, by the
continuously.
way. I love that song. Super off.
What is it?
Worst enemy.
I've never heard it. Oh, you're gonna have to send that to me too. That way with audience
Audience.
members, worst enemy, go ahead and listen to it. DJ Bianca. But
Worst
what it
enemy.
is. Who sings
Yeah,
that?
lit. Lit. My own worst enemy.
Okay, noted. My worst own my no, I said that wrong.
Yeah. He's talking about, I think in the song it's more about like, he says something bad about, so like a lover or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, fuck, like that. Like, now I've messed up myself and I'm my own worst enemy. So the song is actually pretty catchy, but
I'm gonna have to
like,
listen to it if that's the case because it's we really are, and so many of us, like, we don't give ourselves grace to be like, "You made a mistake, it's okay. You're having a bad day,
yeah,
it's okay. You're going through a bad breakup, it's okay." And you were talking
yeah.
about how so many of us actually, like, the way that we just talk to ourselves or how we see ourselves, that makes me so sad. I just wanna hug everybody because the
Me
one thing
too.
that I've also learned from doing this podcast and being vulnerable is the
Mhm.
people that have reached out to me with obviously without calling anybody out, it's more so of like,
Yeah.
"Gabby, I've been there." And I'm like, "Ugh, we're over here just all like hidden in a corner of our room, thinking that we're not worthy, thinking that everything that we've gone through, nobody else has experienced it." With everybody
Yeah.
that you've had as a client, would you say that you go ahead and remind them like you're not the only one that has experienced this? Like, and I think
Yeah. I
you
tell him
said
all the
before
time.
you've done it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually called validating, Gabby. So a lot
Oh,
of times, like, well, look at you becoming a
look at
therapist.
me.
Um, so I always tell people, like, especially when they're talking about it, and I like, if you're my client, I would say, Gabby, like, you don't know how many other people have told me this exact same thing.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm like, the only one. And then they're
It makes
like,
me wanna
because
cry.
they're like, really?
Yeah, because when my
Right again.
you you
Right. This is it.
you literally said it the same way my therapist did, and when I was literally crying in that session because before I started therapy, and I'm sure a lot of people that go to therapy or even just step out and have the courage to share something, right? When you're told that even if it wasn't the similar or the same experience, but it's
Yeah.
similar, the
Yeah.
fact that somebody understands that, hey, I talk ugly to myself. Hey, I went through this when I was younger. Like it was absolutely terrible. Something different. It doesn't have to be like what happened to me, but the fact that somebody else knows that it was bad but we're okay. That makes me just
Yeah.
wanna like I don't want anybody and that's one of my things, like the fact that you do that, like, thank you so much for everything that you do for people. Because you might think that just because 'cause you're starting off that you're not changing lives, but the fact that you have a client that you said, "Hey, I'm so proud of you," that has to mean the world to her because it meant the world to me when my therapist told me. So if nobody's told you thank you, I'm telling you thank you. You guys, I'm not a
Okay.
client. I'm not a
Don't make me cry here.
because I'm not in the state of Florida, but she's working on that. She's working on going and touching everybody's but that right there is so like you said, validating. We need more of that.
Yeah.
Life is so hard. Life is so hard. And I know
And
you
I
agree
think
with
even
it.
you can also like work on ways to tell yourself that too. Like again, that just comes with being kinder to yourself and just saying like, damn, like for me, like, damn, Bianca, like, you're not the only one that's been through that, right? And you're like, wow, like, you know what? Yeah, like you're right. And that's where like that change can happen and be like, okay, like, you know what? I made a mistake. It is what it is, but I'm gonna learn from that. So now I know going forward, it's not gonna happen.
And
And
with that, when we reconnected and we were talking about like building our businesses, right? You have the practice and then like I have the podcast. But then within that, we have little things here and there. Nobody talks about the beginning stages and how exhausting it is. Although we have
it is,
passion for it, like be so for real. It's
yeah,
exhausting because we want to get it so right, but it will never be perfect.
yeah. And I always tell clients too, especially with that mindset of like for perfectionism. Shout out to I see you guys. It's okay. It's okay that we want to be perfect, but you have to remind yourself like we're not shooting for perfection. We're gonna shoot for progress.
Oh,
Progress
yeah.
takes so that because we're trying to achieve something that may never happen.
Ugh, God, I'm a perfectionist. Crap.
Oh, I've
So that we're all
some
calling
tendencies.
ourselves out here.
And you ask yourself, like, what is it about, or what does perfectionism serve for you? Like, what is it getting from you? Like, being perfectionism is definitely going to drain your energy.
Mhm.
You're going to have like burnout at some point because you're shooting or like really trying to get to this level of like everything is dots, like dots on I, miss my T's, everything's so perfect. And it's like, what are you sacrificing in that?
Sacrifice, yeah. I mean, we're losing more to strive to be perfect than just being happy with we did enough because
Yeah.
we sometimes don't think we do enough. I like that.
And I
Progress over
feel like
perfection.
you're negative, like whenever you are in that space where you're really negative with yourself, ask yourself, like, what is this costing me?
Mm. So,
My emotional being, what's happening with like my negative self-talk? And I think of like a pie, right? Like a
mhm,
pie.
yeah,
Pie.
a
Yeah.
pie
Food.
chart.
Like a
A
pie. Yeah, like a chart. There we go. Like a pie
yeah.
chart.
I'm like, baby, I'm thinking about an apple pie sliced in four.
When you think of yourself, you're like, yeah. Now that I'm like, I want a pie. But if you draw a pie chart and you're asking yourself, okay, like if I'm telling myself like I'm a failure, the more that I'm telling myself, what is it costing me? And on a pie, you start like putting like, okay, so the more 70% of this is just like it's messing up with my mental well-being. 10% of it's like I'm feeling physically drained. Another part is affecting my relationships because since I'm in this negative mindset, no one's gonna want to hang out with me. And like
Mm.
you start to like the power of negative self-talk.
I love that. You mentioned percentages. I know someone who just loves percentages. So when she hears you saying to put it into a pie with percentages, she's just gonna run with it. So I will definitely keep you updated on
Yeah,
that one.
whoever you are
She knows who
needs to.
she is. She's gonna run with it. So now, to summarize everything that we discussed, can you tell us three things that each of us can do today and the day after that to go ahead and improve our inner voice and our self-critic?
Yeah. So again, the main one that I talked about before is just like really paying attention to how you talk to yourself.
Mhm.
So like how we call it, like name it, attain it. So like see what you're telling yourself and like asking yourself like what's triggering that thought. So really identifying the trigger. And
Mhm.
then whenever that comes in,
Mhm.
challenge it and be what's the evidence I have for that? What is the evidence that I am, or what is the like evidence against it? Like what I have that I am a good person, like I am worthy of something,
Mhm.
which is just hard
Oh,
on
yeah.
its own.
100%.
Takes and I think too the last thing that I'm thinking about was be kinder to yourself. Don't feel like you have to just throw like the random positive like affirmations to yourself. Like use ones that feel good to you and that are aligned with you.
Yeah.
So if you are someone feeling worthy of yourself, I'm here to tell you that you are worthy. Like you are capable of many great things and you need to hear that.
Gosh, yes, we all so many of us need to hear that we're so capable of more. And I think me and you are also examples of that. And it's not to brag or anything like that. There's so much fear that goes
Mm.
behind trying something new. This podcast is new for you and I. The
Yeah.
us creating a business is new, and nobody talks about the newness of it and the fear that goes into it. The first day that I was releasing that episode, I was like, for the love of God, am I really going to go? Am I really going to do this? Like, there's no going back. But it took me
Yeah.
more
I felt like
time.
that too. I
Yeah,
felt
but
like
like
that too with my I was like, oh man, like I
your
just got my
first
first
client.
client doing this right now.
But
So
we probably built it up more than it needed to be. How did you feel after you went ahead and you had your first client?
yeah, once I did that, I was kind of like, why was I so fearful for this first session?
Huh.
But I realized like it's wanted it to be so perfect. And some like in value, clients are not coming to you to like, I need you to be a perfect therapist and have all these things. It's like, no, like they want you to be you.
Yeah.
So that you have to have yourself like when you talk to yourself, like be just you.
And that's what I said before. For anybody that knows, baby, there is only one you and I. Do not try to chase somebody that you are not. You are somebody's muse, which I hate I gotta say something. There's always gonna be somebody right behind them and be like, I love them so much. So one thing that we will never do is fault to who we are, because let me tell you something, there's so much joy in finding who we are. I'm glad that you went ahead and challenged yourself as well to be like, I need to be myself, because you'll get more clientele that way anyways.
Yeah. And the funny thing that you said that, the first thing that keeps coming to my mind is like when you said the comment about haters, I it's a funny joke that I make. And I think this just shows like the humor part of me. I'm like,
Mhm.
you're the one paying my bills. Like, are you the one doing things for me in my life that no, like, why do you care? And why should I care about your opinion? You have no influence in my life.
Even then, if
Oh,
somebody's paying my bills and you're still judging me, I'll find somebody else to pay my bills that aligns with what I want, right? Because, okay, before we finish this all up, the people that you surround yourself with, does that also go into your self critic? They become who you
yeah.
essentially become them.
Yeah, because again, that comes with your beliefs. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that have the same beliefs, you're gonna feel like, okay, like they can relate, they can understand. But once they challenge that, that's when you're like, oh man, like, and something's wrong with me. Like, if they're thinking it that way, because maybe you have some value to them and their opinion matters. And I can promise you, opinions of anyone else don't matter. I have a client that's very and I can tell, like, how influential, like, people around her age are, and, like, I had to tell her, like, this was very, like, off the grid, and I was just like, "Look, like, you're gonna get older, and you're gonna look back, and these people that you cared so much about don't matter anymore."
Mm-mm. That what we had,
And
what
it's
we did in all those
not
schools.
insecure.
Well, we went to school together. No, everybody's chasing a different avenue. It didn't anything that we were trying to have or be in those times, it doesn't even matter now because we all have
Yeah.
so many things going on. And one thing, you can tell me if you agree, I don't try to compare myself to the next person. I try to compare myself to who I was a year ago, 5 days ago, and is that something good for us to do and continue on?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great thing because what happens too, like when you're comparing yourself to someone else, it's really gonna affect like your image, your confidence, because you're like, man, like if they're achieving this and I'm not, this must mean that I'm not doing something right. And like you said, like people are just on different avenues of their life, like on the path that they're taking. So I prefer you to compare yourself from, let's say, a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, to be like, okay, so like what was working then? What should I improve now so that you're striving to be a better version of yourself?
Absolutely. I love that. So now, for everybody who's heard us today, where can they go to find out more? One, about you, not only your practice, but just you all together. Where can they find you? I want you to tell it all.
Funny. So I'm on social media. The only platform I'm on right now is Instagram. So you can just look me up at Everbloom Counseling LLC.
Mhm.
So a lot of like the content I do is more of just like mental health tips. Sometimes I'll throw some humor in there because
Let me some humor.
again, like everyone in this like room and even the audience can relate to something in the mental health field. Like whatever you're feeling, maybe something you can relate to. Like that's the goal of my platform. Like for you to be at that space and be like, damn, she knows what I'm feeling. So
Yeah.
that you
You have
and
a
if
website
anyone's
as
looking
well, right?
to, yeah,
Yeah.
Everbloom Counseling LLC.com. So on there you'll see like where you can email me or reach out to me if you're interested in therapy. I only practice in Florida for now. Hopefully in the near future I can
Yeah.
branch out to Florida. So
Yeah. But there's so many
but
people on here, they're gonna see it everywhere. Once you figure that out, please be sure to, like, post that sucker everywhere so they can go and find you at,
yeah.
like, every other place other than Florida. So when they go onto your website, is there, like, a little space where they could just enter their
Yeah.
name and, like,
Right
ask for free
Yeah, at the top right corner, you'll see a tab that I think it says like contact. And then from there, you can either email, but it'll also have my number. So on there, you can text, call me, let me know like that you would just like to schedule something. And I do offer consultation calls for free. So the calls are usually about 15-20 minutes, and it's really just to see if we're a good fit. And even if we aren't a good fit, I try to help you guys find someone that would be a good fit. So at least
That's
the networking
awesome.
years in the space to help you find that perfect fit because that really matters. Like having a good fit with the therapist,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just feel like I can really just relax and just get through this process without feeling like now I have to not be honest with this person because I don't trust them. Because trust is a big thing. So
Oh my gosh, that's so good to hear. Well, thank you so much. I am so happy that you got to come on here. Again, this isn't going to be the last time that we hear from her. From the fact that we were going, you were like, oh, we could name this and oh, we can name that. We will definitely have you back on just so we can continue learning because one big thing that I say is like we said, we're growing and we're blooming.
we are. And guys, please follow Gabby in this journey of podcast. Amazing. And you guys are in store for a lot of great things that are going to come from Gabby. So please, if you're not following now, please like, subscribe, whatever
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
my hype girl. That's my girl.
Yeah, please. She's amazing, and you guys like are gonna learn so much from. Even if I'm not on the show, like you're gonna learn from so many people and their stories. So yeah, had to just shout out Gabby on that. So
Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week. What day is it today? I don't know what day it is today.
stay.
Thursday. Girl, it's my first day off. So for me, it's my Monday. Your weekend is coming up. I hope you have a great weekend. And you guys, I'm so glad that you joined us. This was absolutely fantastic.